Yo, MLB Data Warehouse podcast back again. We are doing starting pitcher part 2, 25 more names going 26 through 50. It's just me by myself, kind of just squeezing this in. It had been, I'm about to publish part 3 of starting pitcher, so I didn't want to kind of do these in sync with each other. So this is kind of the free version if you want my ranks and thoughts about players and stuff. This is where you get it for free. But you really should be subscribed for $12 a month at MLBDataWarehouse.com, especially if you're doing in-season stuff. So DFS, betting, if you want in-season management, I'm really going to lock everything down to paid subscribers during the season. But it's going to be a massively beneficial thing. So some information on pricing there. I really do want to blow this all up in a good way. I don't want to blow it all up in a bad way. I want to push toward full time, and I don't know. There's some things maybe that I could make it work, but if a lot of it will be determined this year, right? If it can ever happen, lockout stuff impending, I got to be wise. But I've opted for the in-season daily projections, meaning DFS, betting, all that, like the model, all the special tools and stuff for the daily in-season stuff. There's a founding member tier. Now, go to MLBDataWarehouse.com and hit the subscribe button. You'll see the options there. It's $225 a year, which is still like half price of what you pay for other actual good daily projection models. And you get a lot of other stuff. Obviously, that tier, you get completely everything. For the $12 a month or the $85 a year, I think those are going to come up to probably to $15 a month and $99 a year pretty soon. So jump in now. But for that stuff, you won't get the daily projections, but you'll get the daily notes, the dashboards, everything. If you're a fantasy baseball player that subscribed in the past and you just don't do the daily stuff, you don't play DFS, you don't do betting, like you'll be fine with that. I'm not taking anything away from the season long people. I really don't think it's like reasonable to charge $200, $300 a year for just like season long fantasy advice. That's all pretty easy to get out there for free. My information, I think, is better and more extensive and more fun, entertaining, I hope. But, I'm not going to say that it's worth like $30 a month or anything like that. So it's certainly worth 12, and the dashboards and the tools and all the kinds of stuff. There's gonna be all kinds of new stuff going on. So it'll be worth it. But just know that if you're in it for the betting, for the DFS, for the daily projection stuff, you'll have to pony up for that $225 a year, but it's just a one-time cost, and then you don't worry about it for 12 months. So appreciate that. I'm excited to see how this year goes. So the podcast, just kind of a change up for me and to get some people some free information. So let's go through this. We'll rip through 25 more starting pitchers here. Check out part 1 that came out about a week ago with me and John Allen. And since this one's just me, it'll be a little bit quicker. So number 26, we start here, Blake Snell. I had him in the top 13 or 14 until I kind of realized, and maybe you should have seen this coming. It wasn't a surprise, I suppose, to hear that Snell was going to be slow rolled, right? Like the Dodgers pitched into November. They played into, was it November 1st? I think it was, right? November 1st or 2nd, maybe even was game 7. So they had a long season. Snell's not the most durable guy. He's not a 200 inning guy ever. He's always kind of, usually has an IL stint, usually around 140, 150 innings, but they're just really good innings. So the difference with these Dodgers, what we've been talking about this year, is just that you cannot, the upside is not even 180 innings. Like, you could have said that in years past with Snell, like maybe everything goes right and he throws 180, 190. Like, that's not in the cards at all. Even if he stays as healthy as possible, it's still going to be 150, 160 innings. And that's true with all these guys because there's a 6-man rotation probably. And I know that a lot of people say, like, a lot of teams come in saying 6-man rotation and then 2 guys get hurt and they have to abandon it. But unless Ohtani gets hurt, it is a 6-man, right? Because Ohtani's not going to go every 5th game. There's just no chance of that. He's a once-a-week pitcher. And that builds in other guys. And it's not like they have, it's not like in past years they've been starting Gavin Stone and I don't know, some other pretty lame names. But they're coming in healthy for now. Things will change, I'm sure. But, Glasnow, Yamamoto, Snell, Ohtani, Sheehan, Sasaki, just all these dudes. All these dudes to be in there. So the Snell thing probably just the volume-wise keeps him down a little bit. And you might not even be there. You might not even be there for your first week. I mean, you might have to wait till week 2 or 3 of the fantasy season to get anything from Snell. And then on top of that, you have to hope he can actually stay healthy, which he hasn't done. But the one thing is that the ERA will be extremely good. He's like one of the toughest dudes to hit of all time, really. I think he's like his hits per nine is crazy. He's got some walks, but that's been better the last couple of years. Still not elite, still not a fantastic walk rate or anything like that, but it's been more than enough because he gives up so few hits that the walks kind of are okay. You know, he makes up for the extra walks with just never allowing hits. So he's at 26 for me. I like him a lot in leagues where it's not like a season-long accumulation, and those head-to-head leagues, maybe even if it stinks to not have him at the beginning, and it stinks to probably have an IL stint and stuff. But when you're in a head-to-head league, he's just so good, and you can get him pretty cheap this year relative to what he can do. Snell last year, 61 regular season innings, a 2.35 ERA, a 28% K rate, a 10% walk rate. So the whip's never been the whip was really good in 2024, but mostly he's been like a 1.2 whip guy. So not fantastic there, but ERA is one of the most reliably low. Hardly ever gives up home runs. Obviously, a ton of wins coming for the Dodgers. So Blake Snell there. League specific, though, I probably wouldn't take him in a league where you really are looking for 170, 180 innings from your early starting pitcher picks. He's not going to do that. Jacob Misiorowski, number 27. He's probably not going to do that either. He's probably capped at innings. And who knows? I still think there's a chance. I feel more confident in him being a starter, a traditional starting pitcher for the long haul now than I did a year ago because he came up last year and threw enough strikes. It was still a bad walk rate, but it wasn't like what we were worried about with Misiorowski. I thought he might come up to the majors and have like a 13% walk rate and just not be able to hang. It was 11% last year, so that's high. But it's less of a problem with a 32% K rate. And the fastball, this guy is huge. He has huge velocity. Not many guys are super tall with elite velocity, but he is that. So he is just effective velocity wise. When you're talking about effective velocity, you're talking about how the velo actually plays to the hitter. So like 100-mile-an-hour pitch from 60 feet is a lot easier to hit than a 100-mile-an-hour pitch from 50 feet, of course. So his extension and stuff is elite, 99th to 100th percentile extension, meaning like the best in the league. And he has this crazy velo. So his fastball is just not going to get hit. It's so good. And he needs that because the secondaries are questionable and the history of walk rates and stuff. So that's the downside. I just think this four-seamer is so good that I think he'll be okay. You know, he can live with an 11% walk rate and kind of bad secondaries because his fastball is just like such a tool. It's just like almost unheard of. I don't know. I mean, it's certainly one of the best fastballs in the league. So I'll buy in on Misiorowski. Did only throw those 66 major league innings last year, but there were more in the minors. It wasn't low. It wasn't super low volume overall when you include the minors. But yeah, you're not going to get 200 innings. You're not going to get 190 innings. You'll probably have a somewhat bad whip. You know, he's at 1.24 last year, and that might be a best case scenario. I don't know. You're not getting a 1.03 whip or something like that, but what I think you're going to get is a ton of strikeouts and a pretty good ERA because he's so hard to hit as well. Pablo Lopez at 28, just a fine pitcher. I don't know. I think the upside's kind of gone, but he was hurt a lot last year, pitched well when he was healthy. The K rate came down. He was a little bit lucky to have such a low ERA. I'm worried about the K coming down. He was still good with the walk rate last year, 23% K rate. That was down 3 points from 2024. With Lopez in that 2024 season, his walk rate came down, his strikeout rate came down 3 points as well. So he's gone from 29% to 26% to 23% in the K rate. We just, I think, can forgive some of that last year because he was hurt. It was a bad injury, and he came back and he finished the year healthy. He wasn't the greatest finish, but he got back at least. So he shouldn't be. He should be healthy coming into this year, but the risk is that he's old. The skills are declining. 17% K to walk, K minus walk last year, which was his first year. He had 2 years before that at 23 and 20% K minus walk, down to 17% last year. I just think he'll bounce back from that. I think he's reliable. I don't think he's going to have an awful year. Fair to have some injury concerns, but as long as we haven't heard anything yet, I think he's healthy now, and that's good enough because starting pitcher really does thin out, which is what we're going to see. Like, I would be loading up on a couple guys early because these are still good pitchers we're talking about here, but there's problems with all of them, as we'll see. 29, Trevor Rogers, last year, awesome for the Orioles. You can read the Orioles team preview to read all about it. I went pretty deep on him, just trying to figure out what we should expect. 0.5 home run per nine last year. That was pretty fortunate. 1.81 ERA. That was also pretty darn fortunate. But a 24% K rate and a 7% walk rate was good. 17% K to walk. His fastball is so good. He has a history of just not allowing homers. Like, he had this really low home run to fly ball rate last year, but when you look at the history, that's kind of what he's always done. He's a left-handed guy, good deception with a changeup and a good fastball. So he can keep the ball in the yard, and it's an improved Orioles team, and he'll have a full healthy year. So I can buy into it. I don't want to go over my, I don't want to reach like crazy for him, but if he falls there, like I think he can actually pitch pretty well. And I wasn't expecting that because I knew that he was lucky, but even if he gives the luck back, I think he's more than good enough to have a pretty nice year. So I'm a little bit high on Trevor Rogers, and that was surprising. Number 30, Nick Pivetta. First year with the Padres, he had a big 1.7 home run per 9 in 2024 with the Red Sox, and then he goes to the Padres. Huge park upgrade for Pivetta to Petco Park, gives up 1.1 home runs per 9, a really nice rate. 2.87 ERA, a 0.99 WHIP, 181 innings. It was pretty spectacular. So I'm a little bit low on him here, I guess. It was just there was some luck. I think a really low, I think a pretty fortunate BABIP, and he's just, getting a little bit old. Also, his K rate was down last year to 26%. It's still good, but his K rates the last 3 years, 31, 29, 26. So Pivetta is losing a little bit in strikeouts, which makes sense around age 32. It doesn't always happen that way, but when you see that with a guy getting into his 30s, you get a little bit concerned. So it was a 235 BABIP. That's going to come up. His career is 292. So he was pretty lucky to do as well, but should be another solid season for him. Good park. That isn't changing, and a decent offense behind him. So that's number 30, Nick Pivetta. Next 5, we go to Drew Rasmussen at number 31. Park change, innings boost. Hopefully they were really babying him last year. He's had a couple major elbow surgeries, and you see that in the numbers. Now, you don't see it in the start count. He made 31 starts last year, which nobody would have been betting on, right? But he threw on just 150 innings in there. So do the math there. He was averaging less than 5 innings per start. But a 2.76 ERA, a 102 WHIP, a 1.1 home run per 9. I mean, this guy's been a ratios monster. He does not have a single year since 2021 with an ERA above 2.85. That's like absolutely nuts. Look at this guy's history of ERA. He just doesn't give up runs. He also gives you a sub 1.1 WHIP. He's got his last 5 WHIPs are 108, 104, 105, 108, 102. His home runs per 9, 0.6, 0.8, 0.40, 1.1. So that 2024 season was just 28 innings, and then 2023 season for Rasmussen was 44 innings. So we had a lot of injury that Tommy John was mixed in there. So some small sample size stuff here, but comes back, puts up a whole season with just kind of doing the same thing. What he didn't do is have a great strikeout rate, 22% K rate, but kind of he's one of these tunneling guys. He's got a bunch of different fastball variations. He's got a good cutter, just really hard to hit, really hard to square up. And now he gets to go back to Tropicana Field, which should help. I think he's the Rays' ace. I don't know about McClanahan. We'll see if he's healthy. He's better, but I think you get another 30 plus starts from Rasmussen. At least that's possible. I'm not saying it'll happen. He could get hurt, but I'm saying the Rays aren't capping him anymore. And I think you're probably still limited 170 innings or something like that. But I mean, you're talking about a guy that could go 170 innings with a 2.85 ERA, because that's what he's done. His ERA is like 2.85 for the last 5 years, and that's over 50 starts now. So a little bit sneaky. I don't know. Just like I want to load up on Rasmussen again. Bubba Chandler, 32. Upside, just questionable floor. I don't know. Maybe we'll be looking at him next year as a top 10 arm, and we'll be wondering why he was so cheap this year. But we just don't know if the secondaries are good enough. We don't know if he can handle a big league workload. I think we can. I mean, he has the innings. The innings between the minors and majors have been mid 100s the last couple of years. He hasn't gotten hurt. He's been really solid. Only 31 major league innings last year, though, and a 25% K rate, which you don't love. That's good, but it's not elite. And a 3% walk rate, though, so that was really good to see. The fastball is just so good. He's good, he's like a Mizurowski like, not quite that level of velo plus extension, but Chandler's up there. Fastball is excellent, and curveball changeup behind it. Like, sky's the limit with him, and I would be trying to get some shares on him now because the floor isn't the best because we don't know, but at the same time, like, is anybody going to be shocked if he's a top 10 starting pitcher next year? I don't think so. So you can get a nice discount on him, and I'm pretty high on him. Nick Lodolo at 33. Solid guy. I mean, he doesn't have his ground ball rate's been pretty good. He was at 43% last year if you use the Fangraphs number. Nice season for him last year. Lodolo, 28 starts, 156 innings, 3.33 ERA, 1.08 WHIP, 1.3 home run per 9. So that came up a little bit from 2024, but everything else got better. 19% K minus walk ratio. Again, he gets some ground balls. He's got a sinker. He's a lefty. He's kind of hard to, he's kind of got that deception going on. He's got decent velo. I don't think he's an SP1 upside. He doesn't have the upside of a Rasmussen or Chandler, I don't think, but he's certainly more proven. Really nice second half, or at least there was a really nice couple months in there last year where he was just elite. I'm a little bit lower than other people on him at 3.57 Sierra last year. Kind of tells you the story. It was a quarter of a run higher on the Sierra than the ERA, and the K rates the last 2 years 25 and 24%. So if that's kind of what you're talking about as a cap, there's a limit in what you can do. But again, 5% walk rate last year and was really good, and that's Nick Lodolo 33. And then Sonny Gray, we'll see. I think maybe I'm not evaluating him in the most fair way because I see him going from St. Louis to Boston, and I just start thinking of Nick Pivetta and Cutter Crawford and some of these other righties that had so much trouble keeping the ball in the yard in Fenway. Now, Gray is a decent ground ball pitcher. He's not an elite one, but he's up there, 44, mid 40s in the ground ball rate. His K rate ticked down last year. Again, another one of these guys, but still, it was still 27%, 5% walk rate. He had a 24% K minus walk in 2024, and then a 22% mark last year, Sonny Gray. Now the ERA was 4.28, and a WHIP was 1.23. Some bad luck, and going to Boston is a benefit for wins. He won 14 games last year, though, but it's a better team. It's just probably a worse ballpark. Now, Fenway's a little bit weird. It's not necessarily always like a hitter's paradise, but you can just have these years where if some of those fly balls go the wrong way, like if you get a ball in the air, it is pretty easy to hit it over the green monster as long as it's hit high enough. I think Gray will be fine. I just don't know. He's another old guy and never had a good fastball, and that might really deteriorate. He's really, really dependent on the breakers and stuff. So I just think the floor is really low, and you could see the wheels kind of fall off as he gets further up in age. So, but still pretty solid. I'd probably still be on the buy side of it if I had to pick. 35, Michael King. This is another one that could look dumb. He could be a top 15 pitcher. I think he was 2 years ago. Hurt last year, missed a lot of time, and wasn't very good. He's a sinker baller with kind of bad command. 9% walk rate in his breakout 2024 season for Michael King. That year, 2 years ago, he had a 2.95 ERA in 30 starts, 173 innings. That was his first go as a full-time starter. The Padres looked like geniuses grabbing him from the Yankees bullpen and making him a starter. But then last year he gets hurt. Who knows if the big increase in innings in 2024 had to do with it. Not sure. I don't think anybody knows. But in his 73 innings, it was a 25% K rate, an 8% walk rate, and a 1.5 home run per nine. I don't buy that home run per nine. I think he definitely improves. Again, he's like a sinker dude with a changeup. I think his best two pitches, I should have the numbers up with me, but pretty sure the best two pitches he has are sinkers and changeup, which in that park, you wouldn't expect him to give up any homers or very few. And that's kind of what we saw in 2024, 0.9. So I think you come down to a 1.1 home run per nine. And if it's another 25% K rate, like it'll be pretty good. So you're just a little bit worried about going from 73 innings to how many can he go above that, right? So some fair risk, but again, like more positive things than negative to say about Michael King. So that's 31 to 35. I would definitely try to get into this tier. So I would like to get one of the top three if possible. And then I'd like to get at least two more in the top 20. I'd like to get to number, I guess you could say I'd like to get to this tier, this five-some with three pitchers on my team and draft one of these guys as my SP4. I'd be feeling pretty great about it. And then you could probably take a break there. But Rasmussen, Chandler, Lodolo, Sonny Gray, Michael King, lots to like here. Number 36, then Mackenzie Gore goes to, I didn't update the team name here. Still got him on the Nationals. Can't believe that. I'm going to change that right now in my ranks so it doesn't look so stupid. He goes to Texas, which has been a pitcher's paradise the last couple of years. I've written a lot about it. I've tweeted a lot about it. I've talked a lot about it. I just don't know if it'll stay, but the best bet is that it'll be pretty friendly to pitchers again this year, and that should be good for him. It's just that like the park doesn't matter all that much with Gore because he's either striking everybody out or walking everybody. And we saw both of those versions of him last year. If you look at the year-end numbers, it was a 4.17 ERA, a 1.35 WHIP. It was really not good ratios. So I think you get a discount on him. You'll forget what he did in his first 2 months. He was like a top 5 starting pitcher in fantasy in the first, I don't know, probably even into June. He was like clearly in that top 5. He was awesome. Has all kinds of upside. He's always been a high strikeout rate guy, and he's really improved the walk rate and the home run per nine lately. Last 2 years for Gore, a 0.8 home run per nine in 2024 and a 1.1 mark in 2025. That was a big problem for him in 2023, so good to see that get patched up. Walk rates have been 9% the last 2 years. That's still high, but it's not a huge problem. He was at 12% in 2022 with the Padres. So Yeah, there's a lot to like. An 18% K minus walk last year, and if this Rangers ballpark plays favorably, like he has SP1 upside. Not overall, but he could easily be a top 12 guy, someone that you can draft as your third or fourth pitcher on a fantasy team and get him as your number one. I think I should probably even move him up the ranks a little bit, but this kind of grouping, this like group of 5 to 10 pitchers here that we're talking about right now, I really like. I like the next guy too, number 37, Ryan Pepio. Same story as Rasmussen. He's a fly ball pitcher, and that's hurt him a lot. He's kind of a mediocre walk rate and a lot of fly balls, and that was just not a good thing for him in that park last year. K rates last 4 years for Pepio in the majors, 26, 24, 26, 25. So good, not great, but every year above 25, 20, above 24%. And that's a good core to have. He's got a good fastball, which I like. Problem with him, if you look at these home run per nines, 1.5, 1.5, 1.2, 1.4 these last 4 years for Pepio. So he's given up a bunch of homers. Now the problem, what I'm going to say next is that this is a great park shift for him, but I also did just admit that, yeah, in 2024, he gave up 1.2 home runs per nine in 130 innings in Tropicana. So that could still happen, but it's a much better place. I mean, I think he's got a real chance to go down to 1.0, 1.1 home runs per nine with a 26% K rate, 26, 27% K rate maybe, and, a 9% walk rate. And that would work pretty well. A decent home run rate with an 18, 19% K minus walk for a guy that's been very steady. He's made 26 and 31 starts the last 2 years. Like, I'm buying in on that. Just don't think that you have that Gore kind of upside like we talked about. He doesn't have that. 38, Kevin Gossman. I'm low on him, but I don't know. Splitter's old. He's old. He has limited pitch mix, and he's got a splitter, and it can go really well sometimes, like we saw late in the year. But don't forget how bad he was in the first half. He had a really rough first part of the year, and maybe that'll happen again, especially World Series hangover things. Maybe it'll just really take him a while to get the splitter feel. I'd be not drafting him, and then if he starts slow, if he has a really bad April, May again, try to trade for him. That's kind of the approach with him. I just don't think I would draft him this year. See if you can see where he's at, but I don't know. I think Gossman's probably close to the end of the line here. The fastball is good. The velo's never been elite. But at 35, he's newly 35, turned 35 in January. So you're kind of on the down tick now. And I don't know. I just never really trusted the guy. 3.86 ERA. Or sorry, that was Pepio. Last year's numbers for Gossman was a 3.59 ERA. 106 whip though, 24% K, 6% walk rate. So solid. I don't think he's going to be horrible. I just don't think he has the upside that people think he does. And I think that really strong end of the year will kind of overprice him a little bit. 39, Brandon Woodruff. He was incredible last year. In the short time he was on the mound, made 12 major league starts, 3.2 ERA. That's not incredible. That's very good. But what was incredible was a 32% K rate, a 5% walk rate, a 0.91 whip for Brandon Woodruff. And all the underlying stuff looked fantastic as well. He looked like his old self, if not even better. Problem is, it was shoulder surgery, came back, took a long time to get back to the majors, long rehab. Certainly that was by design. That's not a red flag or anything like that. But what you saw then is that he ended the year with a shoulder strain. Or a lat strain or something like that, which is the same thing, right? Lat, shoulder. It's kind of all connected. The low rank for me is just about the health. I suppose we shouldn't worry about the performance because, again, it was like a 27 K minus walk for Woodruff last year, but I just don't think the shoulder's going to hold up. So there's that. And I don't know, how good can you be if you don't make 25 starts, at least, like, it's not someone you want to target and draft. And I kind of would bet the under on 25 starts for him. Number 40, Shota Amanaga. He has held his own his 2 years in the major leagues. And 2024 rookie year, at a 2.91 ERA, 102 whip, great year. Gave up 1.4 home runs per nine. Last year, things got a lot worse. Hitters kind of figured him out. 3.73 ERA, still an elite whip, 0.99, but 1.9 home runs per nine and a 21% K rate. So he lost 4 points on the K rate, and he added a 0.5 onto the home run per nine. He's the easiest guy to hit the ball in the air against. And I don't know, all this, like a 1.9 home run per nine last year for Amanaga, while Wrigley graded out pretty well with the random wins and stuff, like it graded out pretty well for hitters. Now, maybe he just got the bad days. I don't know. That park factor kind of can change day to day. So maybe, I'm not saying he's going to go higher than a 1.9 home run per nine. Like, it's hardly possible to go that high. So he's going to get better in that. I could see him coming down to like a 3.5 ERA or something like that, but he's going to give up home runs. And it was not good at all to see the hitters kind of figure out how to make contact. Only a 21% K rate. So it's a pretty dangerous combination when you're talking about ERA. with Amanaga because getting that few strikeouts and giving up that many fly balls is going to turn into a bunch of home runs, and that is how the ERA gets up there. Now, again, like a 1.0 whip for his 44 start career now. Sorry, that's wrong. 54 starts and a 1.0 whip. You can draft him for whip, that's for sure. And we like to do that. And who knows, maybe he lucks into a low home run per 9 season. Maybe he goes back to 1.35 or something like that. And then it's pretty great. But I don't know. I'm fine with him at the cost. I don't think he's unreasonably priced or anything like that. But you shouldn't be feeling like you're going to get ERA help from him because of that home run issue. And I think it could get really bad. I mean, again, this isn't a Yamamoto situation. Those two came over at the same time from Japan. So you might think of them being the same age, but Amanaga is 5 years older. So it's a totally different story. He's up there in his 30s now. Overall, I sell, but I do like to draft for whip, and he's one of the best at that. And he's not, he has one of the best whips in the league, but he's not priced like it just because of that ERA and because of the strikeouts. So the whip strat, you like him, but other than that, it's a pass. Sandy Alcantara comes in at number 41. Looked like his old self. I don't know if it's this simple, but he had the surgery. He missed 2024, and then he was awful for like 2 or 3 or 4 months in 2025. A 5.36 ERA finished with it, a 1.27 whip. So people aren't going to think, you kind of look at this, you say, well, he was really good from 2021 to 2023, and then he had Tommy John and he stunk. So some people might look at that and be like, oh, I guess he stinks now. But if you remember, he really fixed it. I mean, he was bad in the first half. That's true. But he was also super, super unlucky. And then he got kind of fixed both things. Like he was back to his normal skills and the luck kind of balanced out. And he had a really nice second half. He's not an SP1. I don't think he's ever really been, but he just kind of patched it all together and was the old Sandy again. So if he's that for this year, which I think is reasonable, he's a really good draft value. Again, not a guy that you're going to be winning your league because you took, but he could be really, really solid. He threw 174 innings last year, so that was good to see. You've got a 190 inning upside here with a 3.5, 3.4 ERA and a 1.2, 1.15 whip or something like that. K rates have never been good, and they were down to 19% last year, but I think he'll be solid. And SP4, SP5 on a fantasy team, pretty nice. Nolan McLean at 42. Somebody else will take him. With this rank, we won't get any of him. So I don't know. If you draft a bunch of teams, you can take him. I just don't really see the swinging strike doesn't match up with the K rate. I've talked a lot about it. Read the Mets preview. I'm a little bit off of him, kind of a lot of sinkers. I think he could have a very good ERA. He's a great ground ball guy, but I don't really believe that the K rate will be what it was last year. And I don't believe in the walk rate either. He was kind of a higher walk guy, and the ball rate doesn't really match up with it. So I'm just betting on a lot of regression and maybe a kind of a tough sophomore year, but I could be wrong. He's one of these ground ball guys that maybe can beat the stuff I'm typically looking at. If we look at his ERA in the majors last year, it was 2.06. His ERA was 3.04, so a full run over that. It was only 48 innings. So I just think someone's going to bite on him, hoping for the SP1 upside, and I don't really think it's quite there like people think. I do think Emmett Sheehan has that kind of upside, but he has the problem of being like the Dodgers SP5 or SP6. So the innings probably be capped. 2.82 ERA for Sheehan, 0.97 whip last year in 73 innings, a 31% K rate, an 8% walk rate. Checked every box. He was phenomenal. Was that a little bit lucky? I mean, it was only 73 innings. I don't know. I'm pretty convinced. It's just like, will he even be one of their top 5 starters? I don't know. Like, I think he's in the rotation. I think he stays there, but he's probably capped at 150 innings or something like that, which keeps the rank a little bit low. But I'd be buying on him. My favorites here are Sheehan and Alcantara, and they're two of my favorites from this whole podcast that we're talking about. We throw in Tyler Glasnow here, number 44. I wouldn't take him. I don't know. Just can't stay healthy. Wasn't even all that great last year. And, he's another year older, and the Dodgers have no reason to push it. They kind of just want him for the playoffs. So I say he wasn't that great. It was a 29% K rate last year, so he was still doing that. 12% walk rate, though. He lost the command, was hurt, 90 innings. His high of the last 5 years is 134 innings. Missed the whole 2022 season. It's just been a mess. He can't stay healthy, and that's kind of the most important thing. So I'd avoid him again this year. Ranger Suarez at number 45 hasn't had a home run problem, and Philly's always been kind of a home run-ish friendly place, but he goes to Boston, so I don't think we should worry about that because he's been fine in Philly. Why wouldn't he be fine in Boston? Just like 23% K rate. His best K rate of the last 4 years was that at 23%. Just seems like he's really dependent on ground balls, and that came down like 47% ground ball rate last year was his worst of his career, and he was hurt too, only threw 157 innings. So fine, I guess, just really no ceiling. And I just think he could get bitten by not having a good strikeout pitch. That's been a problem for a long time, and he's kind of been surviving, but I think it could go bad for him this year. So I'm kind of off Ranger Suarez, but we'll see. Last five here: Chris Bubich at 46, number 47, Spencer Strider, number 48, Nathan Eovaldi, 49, Cam Schlittler, and number 50, Gavin Williams. Just five guys I really don't care for. I think Bubich is good. I like kind of the stuff he sees. He was he overperformed last year for sure. Then he got hurt, didn't finish the year. He was out from June on. So, yeah, and that was after a long history of injuries before that. So, really wondering if he can stay healthy, if he can hack it. No guarantee that he's even all that great now. The upside's nice. I mean, he was pitching like an SP1 or SP2 for fantasy while in there. Maybe he does that again. Maybe he can put that together for 160 innings or something like that. That'd be nice, but I'll probably let someone else go for it, especially with the fences coming in. Just slight downgrades there, kind of betting against the health. Strider, fastball was just gone last year. I don't know. Like, he was really bad last year. And unless we see that velo come back, and, this all happened after an elbow procedure. So you just wonder if it'll ever come back. And he's a 2-pitch guy. So he needs all of that. He needs the elite fastball and the elite slider for it to work, because that's all he's got. And I just think there's a lot of downside there. So I won't take any Strider this year. Eovaldi finished the year hurt as well. Just a really ugly injury rap sheet for him. And he was very lucky as well. He pitched well. I'm not saying that Eovaldi isn't a good pitcher. He's certainly a top 25 potential. But I'll let someone else take the injury risk on that dude. You can read more about that at the Rangers preview. Eovaldi is 30. He's about to turn. His birthday's tomorrow, so he'll be 36 tomorrow. So you've got age there, and just like, I don't know, just it's a pass for me, mostly because of the health. Cam Schlittler, he's going to have to move down because we heard about some back issues with him. He's still going to throw, just going to come off the mound as spring opens up. Hated him already before that, though. I mean, he's a good fastball, or at least it performed well, but there's some questions about the repeatability of that, and there's some questions about his secondaries. And I don't know. At this rank, like, obviously I would take him at this rank. I don't think he's worse than this group of pitchers significantly, but I just have him a lot lower than people. It's just a lot of people remember that big playoff start that he had last year, right? And there's just a lot of stuff to make you really skeptical, and that's before this back injury thing. So I would completely pass on him for now, although the price might get very, very cheap with a back injury thing. And he's not out. He's going to keep throwing. So it's not the biggest, it's not the worst news in the world, but just something else to kind of make you not want him. I would probably, I guess I should move Gavin Williams up, because I would take Gavin Williams over these last three names we just mentioned. But yeah, Gavin Williams finished the year really strong and kind of fixed the command as the year went on. But it's a really tough history of walk rates for Williams. His 3 years in the majors have been an 11% walk rate, a 10% walk rate, a 12% walk rate. He's never gone for a K minus walk over 14%. We want like 15%, right? Like 15% is kind of the minimum we zoom in on now. Maybe he's finally figuring it out, and maybe he added a sinker last year. Maybe that'll make all the difference for him. There is upside for him to get to really elevate, but 4.35 Sierra last year, 12% walk rate. Like, I'm just going to stay away from that. And if it burns me, it burns me. So no thanks on Gavin Williams, but he does make the top 50. That's it. There's a written post about this with more names, and part 3 will come out soon, but I wanted to do a podcast for all of this. So that's part 2. We'll do another one next week, 25 more starting pitchers as we get kind of deep into it. And that's it for this one. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time. Subscribe at MLBDataWarehouse.com, and we'll see you over there.